you had to describe a dick biscuit in less than 1 minute, what would it be?
I ordered it 2 days ago.
Nice.
A dick biscuit is what happened.
Headphones on, you nut.
Oh, hold on, people. Okay. So a dick biscuit.
You're fired. Dick biscuit. First of all, where did dick biscuit originate from, Ryan? Do you remember how that started? You and Miranda, right?
Old, right?
No, Randy, love it. Somehow with like donuts and dick biscuits or deadlifts and dick. I don't remember. What is a dick biscuit? You don't even know.
That is what happens when an uncircumcised male doesn't clean the inside of the foreskin and
right.
and the material and bacteria that grows inside there hardens, and then one day it plops out
In biscuit form.
Yep.
Okay.
There you go.
I'm your host, Krissy Cagney. We have the man of the hour, Rye Face, who makes this whole thing happen. This is his show. We're just talking in it.
Yep.
And then my co-host, Chloe,
Chlo.
who just described what a If you have a better description of a dick biscuit and you submit it somehow, I don't care how you do it.
Let us know.
We will give you a sticker.
We'll have a contest.
Yeah. This podcast is not brought to you by Zevia, but I'm drinking one. Again, they won't sponsor me.
Because you look like white trash.
This is true. Whiskey Tango. Mm-hmm. It's the tattoos. This podcast is sponsored by Donuts and Deadlifts, Monster, even though we've been out for a while. Monster Muscle, Monster Energy, the nice folks over there drop cases off to us. It's good stuff. Today's podcast, we're going to talk about backpacking. As a lot of you have noticed, Chloe and I have gotten into pretty balls deep into our hobby here. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to talk about my experience with it and why I'm doing it. And then Chloe's going to talk about what she thought of it at first. And then what she's experienced going into it. And then a bunch of you guys tweeted questions that we're going to answer. So without going into detail, basically, obviously, a couple months ago, I ended my relationship. And at that point in time, I really wanted to distance myself from being in the gym all the time because I had spent, the previous 2 years of my life in the gym all the time. So I thought it was a good time to get back outdoors. So I got into backpacking about 4 or 5 years ago when I was still living in Reno through Brandon Collins, who's been a guest on the podcast. That's kind of how I started, and I fell in love with it. So one of the main reasons we kind of moved back to Reno was for the environment we have here. We're about 30 miles away from Tahoe. So I can't...
Sorry.
I can hear myself still now. We're back. We didn't go anywhere, but we're back.
We're here.
Hi. So basically, I decided that I was going to just buy all the best gear. I kind of splurged on it. I set money aside to make sure I got good stuff because I didn't have the best gear and a lot of my stuff was heavy. So I had a trip planned with somebody else and that fell through. So I was going to go alone and try to do a little bit of soul searching. And Chloe said, you're not going alone into the woods.
I've seen that horror movie numerous times. I know how that works.
So basically, Chloe repeatedly told me how much she didn't want to go, but she was only going because she felt like she had to.
Oh, God. It seemed like the worst experience ever.
So she constantly reminded me how shitty the whole thing was going to be. The whole drive up, this is going to be so shitty. What do I do if I have to poop? We're going to get eaten by bugs. What if there's a bear? What if we get murdered? What if there's land sharks? Just like every single possible outcome.
I mean, I was more concerned about the man that lived in the woods for the last 50 years that had a hatchet and just wanted to murder people.
And wanted to skin us and wear us as suits.
My biggest concern. Still is.
Old Man Woods.
Theodore Kaczynski.
That's his name. We're going to get shirts that just say that name on them.
He's the Unabomber.
Oh, really?
No.
Yeah, no.
That's what
That's
we're
what he
living
did.
in.
That's what
Can
he
we
did.
edit that
He lived
out?
in the woods?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know he lived in
Let's
the woods.
just make up a name.
He got caught because he didn't realize technology had advanced as far as it did.
Because he was... Oh, shit. Really?
Yeah.
That's fucking wild.
Okay, new contest. Tweet us the name of this man that lives in the woods.
Oh, yeah. If you can come up with I had a clever name for Chloe's imaginary man that lives in the woods. I will send you stickers and a Polaroid of Chloe naked.
Mm-hmm. He could possibly only have one eyeball as well.
I'll tell a story.
Wait, what?
Yeah, tell a story.
Did you just say me naked?
Yeah.
Don't worry about that.
Okay.
Man, must have been like early teens. We used to go with camping with my dad, my brothers, and my older brother's godfather, who was like a family friend. And we used to go up to this little reservoir in Northern California called Bowman Reservoir. It's kind of difficult to get to.
You know what's funny is that was one of the places we were considering hiking to this weekend.
It's cool. They have little islands in the reservoir you can kayak out to.
That's sick.
And sleep on.
Could you swim or backstroke?
Probably.
Okay.
But my brother's godfather always used to talk about this guy named Old Man Winston, who lived out there. Old Man Winston, everything. And we didn't think it was real until one time on the news it popped up that this guy got raided because he had a big old growing marijuana field out in the middle of Northern California, and he got busted for it.
What was his name?
Old Man Winston.
Well, this wasn't a murder story. I thought it was going to be a murder story.
Could have been.
He could have
I
been.
guess you're right.
But Old Man Winston's a good name.
Oh, shit. There's Kelsey.
We have a peeping Tom.
We have a peeping Tom. Show us your tits. Oh, she didn't do it. I would have done it, just for the record. You're not on camera. It's fine. Just do it.
We share a bathroom. I've seen everything.
Kelsey's so cute. So basically, this was, every time I've gone backpacking, I've had fun. But keep in mind, previously when I'm backpacking, I was bringing cocaine and ecstasy with me along. And I would go out there and, we'd bring flasks and we'd get drunk and get loaded. And it was kind of like we'd go out there and party, or I'd be sneaking off doing drugs in the forest. So I never really got the full effect of it. I always really liked it. I've always been very outdoorsy and into camping and hiking. So this time was different. I was very recently single. I was kind of questioning a lot of things about my life. So we actually went out there. You don't have any cell service, so you're forced to kind of just be alone with your thoughts. And I have never felt more at peace as I felt those 2 days we were out there. Just so incredibly at peace, everything about it. Because I had no social media. I had no way to text anybody, call anybody. It was me, Chloe, the dog, our books, and teaching. It was really important for me to teach Chloe about something that I'm passionate about, and to share that experience with Chloe, who's my best friend. So it was crazy because I had something sparked in me, and I developed this really strong passion for it. More so than before, it was just kind of oh yeah, this is a cool, fun hobby to do, and now it's kind of it's all I think about now.
I feel like I would be missing something if I didn't have a trip planned.
Right? Yeah, we always have had, and since we've done, this will be our 4th trip.
Yeah.
And so, we every time we get done, we plan another one, and it's all we look forward to. It's all we talk about. We plan. We go on AllTrails and look at the map. Everything like that. And it's just really cool because it's something that we all get to do together, and we get to go be away from the world with each other, and there's no other feeling like it. And I was telling Jack Canberra last night, who was asking me about it. I don't know if Jack Canberra owns 50 Barbell out on Hawaii. We were talking about it, and I explained to him, there's no cooler feeling than being able to put everything you need in a pack on your own back and to hike it into the woods and to survive. We go out there, we chop our own wood. We bring hatchets, we chop our own wood.
Probably not efficiently.
But we do it.
I wouldn't suggest doing it the way that we do it, but we have a good time.
If you guys follow us on Snapchat, you probably see some of the snaps. They don't load till we get back, but we go out there and we chop wood and we build a fire, and, we bring everything we need to survive. And obviously it's we use survive loosely. We're only out there for a couple days, but it's just a cool feeling. It just really makes you feel like an able-bodied human. I can chop wood. I can build a shelter. I can build a fire. We have our water purification system, everything we do. It's just a really cool feeling.
And I'm already a minimalist. I don't like a lot of, Krissy knows this. I don't like a lot of stuff in my life. Clothes, trash, whatever. Right? So
does anybody like a lot of trash?
Yeah, some people just don't take out the trash. I've seen the show Hoarders.
God damn it.
But my point is, that first time trying to figure out what to bring, am I shouting into the thing?
No, we're just excited.
I know, I'm so excited. Trying to figure out what to pack. and then going on that first trip and then being like, oh, I didn't need this, this, and this.
Right.
And then just bringing it, basically what you need, for me, was an amazing feeling. Because you don't need anything. You need, like, what you have on your body and maybe, like, a change of clothes.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, we kind of just wear the same. But each time we go, we think of something we forget and something we don't really need for the next time.
We should definitely talk about our first trip.
Right, yeah. I've got lots of... So the first trip we went out...
I feel like I loved it.
Okay. Chloe had one fucking job, and that was to bring bug spray. And she was like, I was like, do we need to get some? She goes, no, I have some in my car. She forgot the bug spray.
Which I did. I had it in the car.
We went to Dardanelles Lake, our first trip. It's off the Tahoe Rim Trail through Big Meadow, South Lake Tahoe. If you're in the area, you're familiar. If you're not, it's fucking rad. Look it up. Tahoe Rim Trail sick. Chloe we went during the hatch. So
But we were not aware either.
Right. We didn't, hatch. I mean, I knew there were going to be bugs, but I didn't know it was hatch. So we get fucking 10 feet onto the trail and we're just getting eaten alive. So it was just absolutely awful. Like, we actually had to bail out early from that trip.
In the morning.
Yeah. So the biggest thing and what else did we forget? Did we forget toilet paper?
No, we had toilet paper.
We forgot something else crucial.
It'll come to me in 20 minutes, probably, when we're done.
So like every trip you like, and now we have like a checklist, and now we have certain people, you know. Like,
the bugs weren't as bad going in.
And then coming out, we had to run.
But I feel like I loved it probably 10 minutes in.
Right.
When we got to the meadow.
That's exactly how it was. Like, we were going up that hill at first, and you were not pumped, and then we got to the meadow, and like, you saw it, and then we got there, and you were into it.
Yeah.
And like the whole like... You love boiling the water. Like, you're like into the whole process. The water like Chloe's got it down now.
It's super fun.
Yeah, it's sick.
Super, super fun.
Yeah. So the first trip we went on, you could have campfires because we were in Tahoe National Forest. So in Tahoe and El Dorado, you can have campfires. As long as you're 100 yards away from the Tahoe Rim Trail, I think it is. But we veer off the Rim Trail to go to Big Meadow that way. So the second trip we went on, I had two friends come up from Southern California, and it was also Q had just moved here. So Q moved here and we're like, we're going backpacking. Now, those of you who know Q probably can't imagine her backpacking. It was interesting. We thought she hated it, but then she said she loved it. So I don't know. But that time, our friend went with us who's like mega mountain man. And so I actually learned a lot that time. I learned more about like bear hangs and stuff like that. So like, if you want to get into backpacking, go with people he was a wilderness guide, right?
For 8 years.
Yeah. So if you want to get better at backpacking, go with people who are good at backpacking because there's always stuff to be learned. Like, yeah, I've gone on a lot of trips, but I mean, I'm still intermediate, I'd say. You know, I'm still an intermediate backpacker. Like, there's still stuff I'm learning. So he taught us bear hang stuff, and he taught us like, how to like get your bearing, read maps, like read a compass, stuff like that.
How to pack my stack.
Yeah, he taught Chloe how to like better pack her pack and stuff like that. So if you want to get into backpacking, definitely. I mean, and you can go to REI and find people. You go to your local REI. REI plans trips.
Yeah, they have classes.
And they do backpacking trips. And they have backpacking trips for beginners where they will teach you everything. So you just go through REI, you pay them, they bring you your food. You know, you can rent gear from them. And then you can go. And that's how you can start learning basics. Because once you go, like... After you went twice, you said you'd feel comfortable going on your own with other people, right?
Yeah, I feel like that's my next step.
Yeah, Chloe
is to ditch her and go with someone
and
else.
It only took her 2 times. Like obviously if you're going on like a 4 or 5 day trip, that gets a little bit more technical because you have to be really precise with your packing. But there's also 2 types of backpacking. There's where you can backpack in, set up camp in one place and stay in that place, and you do day trips. Or there's backpacking, which when I did the Tahoe Rim Trail, this is the way we did it. You backpack all day, set up camp at night, pack up camp in the morning, backpack all day, and you do a loop. And that's like a whole different ballgame because you're having the pack on your back for 8 to 15 miles every single day. And that's when you need to get really careful about your packing. But yeah, that second trip, we weren't allowed to have fires because we went to Desolation Wilderness. So that was like kind of a weird experience for me because the campfire is my favorite part of it. Like sitting around the campfire, I don't know. There's just something really magical about it for me.
I was not prepared for that second trip mentally because how it's been so far is I kind of just release control to Krissy, and I'm like, okay, that's where we're going. We'll do it.
Yeah.
And I don't do any research, and I'm not really aware of what's going to be happening.
Right.
So when we got to where we were going, there was two very steep inclines up,
Right.
and I wasn't mentally prepared for it.
It was like on your hands and knees.
There
climb
was
up.
one point where it was so steep that I could have just touched the ground in front of me because it was so steep, if that makes any sense. But because we were in that group, it kept me going. And I think we were all kind of at a different level.
Right.
But by the time we finished that hour excursion up,
Right. Well, the reward, the
it was a
payoff.
very gratifying feeling.
Right. You mean like, you put all that weight on your back and you hike up a goddamn mountain to get to the top, and then you look at where you've gone to and you look out and you guys have probably seen the pictures on social media, but like you just look out to just wilderness everywhere.
Right.
It's a crazy feeling.
Right, like if you're doing Olympic lifting or CrossFit and you feel shitty and you don't want to finish, you don't have to finish.
Right.
But you have to finish.
Yeah,
You
you
have
have
to
a
finish
choice.
getting up the side of the hill.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that second trip was longer. We set up camp in one spot, and then we did a day excursion up to the top of Tell's Peak. Fells?
I don't recall.
Fells.
This is why I need that journal.
Because weren't we saying FPC or TPC? Tell's Peak.
Does anybody out there do a hiking journal? Am I going to be the only person doing that?
We're going to make one.
I'm going to do it.
Hello.
Hello.
We're going to make one. So yeah, the second trip was really neat because I feel like we all kind of like learned a lot, and it was a little bit longer. Third trip was super quick. We went to what's up, dog? We went to Round Lake with Chloe's favorite person on earth, Brian.
He's so fun.
My buddy Brian went, who's like, he backpacked, but we brought Ashley Beaver with us. So she had never even really gone hiking before.
No.
And it caught her off guard big time, the elevation with the pack.
And she did amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. So even though she was if you guys know Ashley, she's fucking fitter than Chloe and I combined. I mean, she's a freak. And she was like a little bit behind, like the elevation definitely caught her off guard a little bit. So that's something else to think about too. If you're coming from sea level up to somewhere like Tahoe, you need to be prepared for that acclimation. It's not easy. Whole different world up here.
And that was the first time we had our boots.
Right.
So Krissy and I both got hiking boots. And I will tell you that my confidence level of moving over terrain went up tenfold, just because I felt like I was more secure with what I had on my feet and not just in Nike Metcons,
Right.
which are totally work, by the way.
Yeah, they're fucking sick. Unless you're wearing an old pair and you fucking slide tackle down a mountain.
I did that cute like jazz split with the back leg bent and full splits in my backpack because I slid.
Nailed it.
I do want to go back to that first trip because I am kind of sappy.
You know what's
but
funny is when I've read stuff about, like, there's a lot of people who have said Dardanelles is like the most beautiful lake in the Tahoe backcountry.
Even though the bugs were out of control,
Right.
they were really, really bad. We found someone and borrowed bug spray because they were passing by. But that night, because the bugs were so bad, we just like laid in our tent and like read and like talked. And I feel like we're already super close, but because we didn't have like the distraction of like the phone
Right.
to be like, oh, this is how I'm feeling. Oh, okay, let me check my Instagram. Like we actually like were able to connect even deeper.
Right.
I mean, does that make
Absolutely.
sense?
Yeah. I don't know.
It was just a great
different out there.
experience.
It's different because you have that sense of accomplishment. Like you hiked in together, you set up your camp together.
You boiled water.
boiled water together. So, like you go through it all together and then like you get to sit there and just like relish in it. It's fucking sick. It's a cool feeling. I mentioned the backcountry. You have to get backcountry permits to wherever you're going. You can't just hike into the wilderness. You need to get a campfire permit, which will last you the whole season. You can get it pretty much anywhere. There's a lot of rangers and park rangers on the trails, and they can just give it to you on site. But you need to make reservations for any time you go into any national park, especially like I'm going to Glacier National Park in 2 weeks in Montana. They actually planned my itinerary for me. I told them how many days I wanted to be there. They ask how fit you are and if you have like a mileage limit, and they tell you what trailhead you need to enter on, where you have to camp, and what trail you have to exit on. And if you break from that itinerary, you get fined. So you can't just walk into Yosemite, and you can't, like it all has to be very planned. Like you need to plan your trips ahead of time. So if you ever want to do Yellowstone, Yosemite, Glacier, parks like that, you need to, like months in advance. We each wanted to go to Yosemite this weekend. We got shut down. The permitting place was like, sorry, it's too busy. So yeah, keep that in mind. Even, with any of like with Desolation Wilderness, we had to fill out the permit, and I had to tell them what zone we would be in, and we had to stay in the zone.
It's for our safety as well.
Yeah, and it's for safety, and so like if you so that they know, like if anyone goes missing or anything like that, that's something to think about. Campfire permit's important though. You have to get one of those. Do you want to mention anything else?
Pack your goddamn trash.
Oh yeah. So there's a couple.
God, I was so mad.
The third time we went, like the leave no trace thing's really important. Like you should be leaving the wilderness better than when you got there every time. Like if other people leave trash, pick it up and bring it out.
We were at Round Lake, and there was a couple spots that were like established camping spots that people had created and done awesome jobs making fire pits and like making stone benches and stuff. But there was so much trash. I feel like I brought more trash home than was mine.
Right. Yeah, it was sad. It kind of bummed me out. And like the other issue is like, don't bring glass out there. Get a fucking you like if you want to bring alcohol out there, get a fucking, what are they called?
A flask.
Yeah. Put your booze in something.
They make them in different sizes.
Because nobody wants to pack glass out, so people leave glass out there, and that's so bad. Like,
get a Camel pack.
Right.
Fill it with vodka.
Bring a bag of wine.
Yeah.
They make Fireball in the bag now.
So,
that's what we should make for Elo.
We had that ant incident.
It wasn't an incident.
It was very sad. So we set up our 2 jet boils. This is my theory of what happened.
Jet boils how you boil water.
We set up 2 on this stone, boiled our water, and then a couple minutes later, I noticed like this mass escape of ants from underneath
like thousands
from underneath the rock, and they weren't just leaving; they were like taking their baby eggs and like leaving. It was just like a mass exodus from underneath this rock. And I am a lover of every living thing except most people, so I was like freaking out on the inside that we were disturbing this ant colony. And so I videotaped most of it on time lapse. But then I sat there and watched the ants like travel from one spot to the other and like move the entire colony.
It's crazy.
But it's very traumatic for me.
Yeah, you have to be really conscious of nature and stuff when you're out there too.
I know that is.
Another thing I was reading about yesterday actually is how bad it is to put DEET on. DEET is the active ingredient in bug spray, and get in the water. It destroys the aquatic wildlife in the lake. So it was saying don't put on bug spray before you get in the water if you're going to swim, because DEET poisons the fish.
And that pure DEET is like dangerous.
Yeah. Yep.
It pulled the ink off of one of my shirts.
Yeah, DEET's gnarly stuff. I mean, it's necessary, but that's another thing to really be careful of. So people tweeted questions. Basically, I just mentioned that we're going to do a backpacking podcast, kind of because a lot of you guys have been asking us about it. It's a very cool hobby for fit people because it's active, it's outdoors. I will say this, being a CrossFitter, a weightlifter, a powerlifter, we're used to carrying heavy objects for distance. I mean, even with conditioning, like farmer carries and stuff like that, it's across the board. So it's not as hard for somebody who lifts to put a pack on their back and walk into the wilderness. I've noticed that compared to people who like just backpack. They don't, their only experience with carrying weighted objects over distance is when they're backpacking. So you definitely have a advantage going into it if you're a weightlifter, powerlifter, CrossFit, or anything like that. So we got some cool questions actually. Top 3 items that we cannot leave the house unless we have
For the trip.
Right. And obviously tent, pack, sleeping bag excluded. Like I think this person means more like personal. Like I always have to bring a book. I bring the speaker. I have a waterproof, shockproof, like 1 ounce speaker that's pretty cool that I charge at because I like music. And it's nice to hook you can just hook your phone up to it Bluetooth. It's called a Buckshot. I always bring that, and I always bring a deck of cards. So I think he meant like 3 non-essential items. Like I'm not going to say like bug spray, food, and fucking weapons, knives. We have the hatchets. My buddy Ben, who is in Whitechapel, they came to train at the gym a couple weeks ago as a thank you. They have a sponsorship through Cold Steel, and as a thank you for letting them use the gym, he had a bunch of knives sent to me, like big ass knives. So this will be my first time going out there with like real weapons. I'm pumped on that.
3 items. My book. I bring my battery backup charger for some reason.
Well,
I've never had to use it, but I feel like for me, if by some chance I had to run away from that guy in the woods, that I might need that battery backup.
Yeah, and it's if you take a lot of pictures, because if you turn your phone...
Which we do.
If you turn your... Everyone knows.
300 a weekend.
If you turn your phone on airplane mode, it'll stop searching and it preserves your battery, and it should last you all weekend. But if you're taking a lot of pictures, it kills your battery.
I feel like everything I take is pretty essential. Oh, but I got that trail mix.
You gotta
I do
have that
have to bring that Tex-Mex trail mix
from Target. It's very specific.
If I don't have it, I can't go.
So that's Chloe's choices. My sweet, sweet girl, Alessandra. How do you decide where your next adventure is going to be, and what's your number 1 trip for the backpacking noob?
Our first one.
All the trips we've done have been like at really high elevation since we live up in Tahoe. That's everything we do. I think the Round Lake hike's a lot easier if you don't go all the way around the lake. Yes. So if you go, the Big Meadow Trailhead's awesome. It's pretty flat, and the first climb's pretty steady, and then it's downhill actually. So you climb up over the mountain down into this basin, and there's 3 lakes. There's Round Lake, Dardanelles, and Scotts Lake. Those hikes are pretty easy, and they're beautiful, absolutely beautiful, and you can have fires.
I think for next season, well, you can backpack all year, but next like spring, summer, I feel like we should put everything we want to do in like what do you call that thing?
Oh, like the thing CrossFit uses. What's that fucking thing called?
Like the bingo basket.
Yeah,
you know?
but what's the hopper?
Yeah.
We'll get a hopper.
And then I feel like we should do that and like pull them by random.
Yeah. I choose so this trail we're going on this weekend. You can go to AllTrailscom. It's my favorite app. I've got it on my phone, and you can actually log all the trails you've completed. So it's got every trail ever. It's got the topography map. It gives you directions to the trailhead, and then other users can leave comments like if there's hazards on the trail, or if there's water overrunning the trail, or if a tree falls on the trail. Basically, as a backpacker, you go onto this app and you leave reviews on the trail if necessary. So you can keep track of your mileage. You can actually start your mileage when you start hiking, and it'll track everything, and then you can keep a log of all your hikes.
Yeah, and it tracks offline.
Yeah. And you can download your maps on there, which is really cool too. So you can download the topography before you go, which was really helpful when we went to Desolation Wilderness because we got fucking lost. So the All Trails map, you can go in and you can enter like Lake Tahoe National Forest backpacking, and it'll give you a list of all the trails by rating, by distance, by level. There's easy, moderate, and hard. And it'll give you every detail you possibly need to know, and pictures. People upload pictures to it. So that's how I choose. Basically, I know like a 6 to 8 mile hikes, what we like to do in. So I can narrow that search down. And that's kind of how we pick. That's how I've been picking trips. Oh, here we go. Jeremy Kotz wants to know best trail mix for hikes.
I just told you.
The Tex-Mex trail mix is fucking gangster. I have to be careful about like any cheese powder or anything being in there. And because I'm a fucking trail mix binge eater.
No matter how much you bring, if it's within her reach, she will eat the entire bag in the first 20 hours.
This is also true. I fucking can't help myself. Don't bring anything with chocolate. It fucking melts, and you'll have a ball of melty trail mix, and it'll look like you've been eating doo-doo. It's not good.
Yeah.
So nothing with chocolate. Unfortunately, it melts. Same with protein bars. Chocolate-coated protein bars melt. Especially when they're in your pack. It just gets hot in there, and they melt. I like the Asian trail mix. I like those rice crackers and the wasabi peas. That's my favorite for backpacking. It's not my favorite trail mix there is. It's my favorite for backpacking because it doesn't melt and it's vegan friendly.
It tastes delicious.
Favorite vegan dinner. Don't look at me like that. You loved the vegan meal that I brought last time.
But I love mine more.
It was curried lentils. I like Alpine Air. There's a burrito, a vegan burrito bowl that I really like. Oh no, I like the Himalayan. There's one that has dried fruit in Himalayan rice with lentils. That's my favorite.
I just like lentils and I like the word lentil. So,
but Alpine Air is my favorite backpacking food because the backpacker's pantry, it's just like full of sodium. That's your favorite?
full of sodiums.
Yes. Be patient.
Just because I know it's our friend.
You're jumping the gun.
Yawn me cold.
Kyle Stowe, one of my favorite people
I love
ever.
all of the comfort foods.
Yeah, you like the fucking bacon mac and cheese and like shit like that. The lasagna.
Yeah, it's beef mac and cheese. Mm-hmm.
Do you ever try any primitive methods out there when you go out?
Oh,
like,
Kyle.
I think he means like, what does he mean? Like hunting and fishing?
I feel like he means, do we
lean-tos?
go without a backpack and just a hatchet and figure out how to live
I
for
would.
24 hours?
I would. Chloe's not into
This
that.
is not Naked and Afraid, Kyle.
Kyle wants to know when I'm going to start bouldering. Actually, God, the dog's tripping. I've only ever bouldered inside. It absolutely terrifies me to boulder outdoors.
I did hear that's the next step, though.
Favorite gear and best trips you've been on? We kind of already talked about that.
My Osprey bag.
As far as my gear goes, I'm an Osprey girl for packs, and now Chloe is too.
Mm-hmm.
Osprey's my favorite packs. I love REI brand. I love Big Agnes for tents. Both my tents are Big Agnes, and I buy the tents based off weight. It's worth the extra money to have a lighter pack because the tent weighs less. My sleeping bag's REI. We use Jetboils, and most of our like small odds and ends stuff like our paracord and the towel, everything like that's pretty much REI brand. We use the Wilderness wipes, which are really rad.
They
for,
do.
like,
I haven't used one yet.
oh, really? They're really good for like cleaning your face. They're good for cleaning anything, your beehole.
I haven't used one yet.
That's weird. I just started using the Wilderness toilet paper that's biodegradable. It dissolves because that's another issue is toilet paper doesn't dissolve quickly, especially when it's covered in shit.
I feel like I've become an expert at pooping in the woods in our short amount of trips. I feel like I have it down. I have it down.
Congratulations.
I mean, it's,
What else? We talked about food. My favorite brand's Alpine Air. What else do we use for setup? I mean, that's kind of the basics. I mean, any compass, any map. I make sure my map's waterproof. I buy the weatherproof matches, so my matches are stormproof, so waterproof and windproof. You can dunk them in water and light them up in a storm, and they'll still light. I use the Firebugs fire starters. They're super lightweight and small, and they make it really easy to start a fire. For emergency purposes, I bring the old school flint just in case. Learn how to use that in case of an emergency. We always bring our med kits.
speaking of which,
What?
if you are allergic to anything,
Oh, yeah. Bring an EpiPen.
if you require an EpiPen, bring one, because I need one for bees. And I didn't have one, and I was stung by something on the way out of our second to last trip. Mm-hmm. And we thought it was a bee because I reacted pretty harshly to it. But it wasn't, thank God. But bring that stuff if you need it. Don't be an idiot like me.
Right. Fuck. And then she made me practice the EpiPen situation on her, and I freaked the fuck out. Your favorite camping things you have to bring with you every time. Well, here's the difference. Camping and backpacking are two different things.
If we camped, we could bring a shitload of everything, and we probably would.
If you are going camping and you have the opportunity to put stuff in your car, you can have way more fun with this. With the cooking, you can get the burners and the stove, and you can have a sweet fucking setup. You can still four-wheel out to the middle of nowhere and do it. Mm-hmm. But if you have your car, it's a whole different ballgame.
Because you can bring an ice chest, you can bring food, like not
games. You can bring
food.
fucking games, and you can have a sweet setup.
You can bring your own wood.
Camping doesn't have to be go to a designated campground where there's RVs. Camping can be, you can go off-roading out to Joshua Tree. You can go off-roading to the, like, as far as you can get out. You can still get to the middle of nowhere if you have the vehicle to do so and set up camp. But backpacking and camping are completely different things. I don't really camp. I'm a backpacker. We haven't camped once. I prefer the hike in and being in the middle of nowhere. That's kind of my preference. Oh, here we go. This guy wants to go over proper poop squat form. That's all you.
Did you really ask that?
Yes. They want to know.
The shovel is important.
It's called a trowel.
I call it a shovel. It's my poop shovel. Because it does have a depth meter on it for how deep you're supposed to dig that hole. For me, because I poop 2 to 3 times every morning before the hour of 10.
That's insane.
When I camp, it's a little less. I try to hold it. Okay. So it's just 1.
Go on.
I feel like guys might squat differently than girls because they have to get their pee-pee and balls out of the way.
Don't you just hold it? Their pee-pee.
But I like to take a nice outside of shoulder width stance. I bring my outfit, my shorts,
Your outfit.
my shorts,
outfit to the top of the thighs,
all the way to right below the knees.
You don't bring them to your ankles.
No, I bring them to the knees because what I do is then when I squat, it's like having a band on, so I'm putting tension against something. Do you guys want to see what I'm doing here? So when I squat here and then I push out, I don't really have to hold on to anything because I'm in the right form. I don't like to hold on to a tree because then I can't see what's crawling up the other side if there's bugs around or anything. You do have to be careful because when it's like when there's like a lot of mosquitoes, they try to go for the vagina and they try to go for the butthole while you're pooping. So then you kind of have to watch so that you can shoo them away while you are going peep or poop.
Peep. God damn it. You want to, so I
and
read,
make sure to cover your hole up.
Okay, actually I have something to say about that. I read yesterday on outbound.com about backcountry etiquette. The last thing she mentioned was apparently shit doesn't decompose quickly.
Okay.
It like solidifies and hardens. So what I read was you're supposed to stir it into the dirt. And it's called poop soup. And she said, I'll show you the article.
I like this.
She said in the article, grab a stick when you're done and you have to stir it into the dirt and break it up. And it's called poop soup. And it'll actually...
That makes sense.
Like, it's better for the environment.
But you still cover it with dirt.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But she was just saying you stir it up, cover it, and then break it all up. Because otherwise it just like think of like an old dog turd. Like think of eating shit in the backyard. It just hardens.
I know that it's like not the most glamorous experience,
Fun
but
fact,
it's like your own shit. Take care of it. You know
if you
what I mean?
hike Mount Whitney, you cannot defecate on. You have to pack it out. It's fucking weird. I didn't poop the whole time we climbed that mountain. Do you plan best backpacking?
I feel like we should go over the poop scenario anytime we take someone new with us, and that can be like my job.
Okay, you're fucking hired.
I'm like a poop guide.
You're my Huckleberry.
How to shit in the woods properly by
you
Chlo
should write
Johnson.
a blog post on it. Best backpacking gear for a beginner. Rent first. Here's the thing. Stuff lasts a long time, and REI is really cool about bringing stuff back. So, like, if you're going to get into it, just pay for it all the first time around. That's the best way to do it because it's going to last you forever. And if you buy shitty stuff at first, like if you take the cheap route, it's going to last you a season or two. And you're just going to be buying new stuff. So budget it out. You know, like what I did is I made a list of things I needed and I budgeted in my sleeping bags and my tent into the first purchase. And then from there got like smaller stuff that I needed. You're going to get what you pay for with anything, you know? Like, you don't need the fucking $600 Big Agnes tent. Like, mine was like $360 or something. Also, wait for REI's sales. REI has, like, biannual sales. So, I bought all my stuff and go to reioutlet.com. Like, look for the deals. Because when stuff goes out of season, just because it's on sale doesn't mean it's bad. It means that they made a new one. And that's how they make their money. So, just because something's from last year doesn't make it, you know, any less quality.
Yeah, it's called the REI Garage now. They changed that name.
Oh, really? That's weird. Do you plan on any big hiking trips in the future? If so, where would you like to go? I would like to do the PCT when I turn 30, which is 2 years away. It's a 4-month trip. Obviously, that's not something I want to do alone. So that's a huge life goal of mine. I mean, obviously, I'd like to do it before I'm 35. That's kind of like the only really big one I have. Before that, to get ready for that, I would probably do the Tahoe Rim Trail in its entirety, which is about 3 weeks.
I mean, I would do that.
Yeah, so that's something we could plan for like the end of next season, a 3-week trip, because you can come down and get supplies. Like you don't need to pack 3 weeks worth of food. So I'm kind of, I've been reading up on how to do that a little bit. So the PCT is obviously a really huge commitment, and it would take the right person to want to go with me.
Not me.
But that is something I'm going to do before I die, for sure, 100%.
I think you should do that for your 50th birthday.
We'll see if I make it that long.
I'm almost there.
I need to not die on the trail first. How you started, I kind of already talked about that. Basically, Brandon Collins was tattooing me in 2010, and it was right before 4th of July weekend, and he said, hey, what are you doing this weekend? I said, I don't have any plans, and he said, hey, do you want to go backpacking? I said, I've never been, and he's like, you should go. So that's kind of how it started. I used my mom's boyfriend's old shitty pack and sleeping bag, and that's all I had, and Brandon was like, I'll bring everything else. So we went, and that's kind of, the first time I went. And then every time from there on out was always with him. So that's when I did Whitney and then Tahoe Rim Trail and then a couple other trips like that. So he got me super into it. Every time I had went, actually, prior to us going, had been with him or with my mom's boyfriend, who's also a super avid backpacker. So that's kind of how I started and learned. And then now I'm just passing the hobby on. What are the laws of wildland camping in the U.S. and in and out of national park?
Look it up.
Yeah, look, it's specific to the park. Like, for example, you can have a fire in El Dorado National Forest. Desolation Wilderness is in El Dorado Forest, but you can't have a fire in Desolation Wilderness. So when you buy your backcountry permits, they will tell you if you can have fires. When Glacier National Park emailed me my itinerary, they said, night 1 at this campground, you can have fires. I can't have a fire at the second campground on night 2, and I can have a fire on night 3. It all depends on the area and where you're going. I mean, it's all different. There's signs that say hiking into Big Meadow that you can't have campfires on the Tahoe Rim Trail, but since Big Meadow is off the Tahoe Rim Trail, you can have fires. So it's all very specific, and those are kind of the strictest laws. But like we talked about before, the permitting process is the most important thing. They will fine the fuck out of you if you don't. You cannot just walk into the wilderness. Like, you need to pay your dues.
That's arrogance.
Yeah, exactly. You need to pay to be like, and all that money you're paying goes to keep the trail so other people can enjoy it. Like, they pay the park rangers to do trail upkeep and stuff like that. Another thing with trail upkeep, when you're hiking, if there's a fucking rock on the trail or something on the trail and you can move it while you're on your hike. Like, it's part of your duty as a hiker and backpacker to keep, for that upkeep. And I can't even believe how shitty trails look sometimes. And you see people hiking on them, and you just know people just don't care. Those are usually like daytime hikers and stuff, though.
But then there's not a lot of funding either anymore for the maintenance of trails and stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Parks and Rec.
Which is sad.
Yeah.
Is there a National Parks and Rec department? How's that work? Or is it just go by forest?
There's the Bureau of Land Management. There is the U.S. Forest Service. And then there's, all the park rangers are through the U.S. Forest Service.
I feel like my next career move, like in 10 years or whatever, would to be like that park ranger that lives out there.
It's good and bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, they go.
Or to do it for like a couple years.
Well, in the political climate, like, you have to accept that you're going to run into people that are going to pull guns on you. Because you get that mentality of like, oh, fuck the feds.
Yeah.
And you're a federal employee.
Yeah.
And you come in and tell somebody
They can't do something.
This doesn't belong to you. This belongs to everybody. This belongs to the United States. This belongs to the United States citizens, not you.
Yeah.
And
Right. Yeah, people go out there strapped, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I think I would love to try that.
Yeah.
And ride a horse and like just be out there.
Yeah,
for
we
the
met
year.
we met a guy the first
Get
time.
a biology degree. And then, like...
I just have to go back to school, folks. No big deal.
Another 4 years, no big deal. You'll be fucking a cool 41 years old by the time you're ready. Sick.
But you get to do you're going to see things that most people would never see.
Yeah, it's fucking unreal.
Like hike the 25 miles from Sequoia to the backside of Whitney. So
It's fucking cool, man. Like, I find a peace out there that I've never found before anywhere in my life. And it's like a really unreal feeling. And I've been trying really hard to balance it. Like, obviously I'm an addict and I get hooked on things. And at first, like, a couple people were texting me, like, is everything okay? You keep going out in the woods. And I realized, like, I think if we started doing it too much, it might, you know what I mean? Like, I think if we went every weekend, it wouldn't be the same.
Oh, yeah. I mean, once a month.
Yeah, once a month. Exactly. But I think if we were going every weekend or every other weekend, it would start to not really be the same.
Yeah, I think maybe next year we might do like 2 a month. Depending on what month and what we're trying to
Probably every
accomplish.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely, it's just really special to me. Obviously a lot of you guys know I suffer from insomnia mostly because I overthink and doubt everything I've ever done at night. And when I go out there, I sleep. And being under the stars and being out there, I don't know, it's just like a whole new level of peacefulness that I can't find anywhere else in the world. And I've done a lot of traveling and I've been a lot of places. So it's super important to me in that respect. Like, I don't know. I love it.
Yeah, I love it. You just find a new version of you, I
Right.
feel like, out there.
You have to face
And, like,
yourself.
your relationships with your people, like just taking Ashley out and not having anything to interrupt us, but just, she's already a friend, but to get to know her on an even more personal level, because there's no distractions,
Right.
was amazing, you know?
Absolutely. Well, that's all I got.
Me too.
Thanks
All
for
right,
listening.
folks. Toodaloo.
Take care. Okay, bye. Okay, love you, bye.